People have been seeing strange things in the skies for years, but is the truth really out there? Welcome back to UFO Uncensored. I'm your host Michael A, and today we're counting down our top picks for another top 10 UFO sightings. But before we get to that, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell because we have a lot of content coming out for 2020 and you do not want to miss out. For this list, we're taking a look at even more documented cases in which people spotted an unidentified flying object, suggesting we may not be alone in this world. Number 10. Rendlesham Forest. In December 1980, U.S. Air Force members stationed at two British Royal Air Force bases, Woodbridge and Bentwaters, reported seeing strange colorful lights above Rendlesham Forest, about 100 miles northeast of London. One man who entered the forest to investigate claimed to have discovered some sort of spacecraft there, and the next day, others confirmed damage to nearby trees and a higher than normal level of radiation at the site. Several days later, more sightings were reported. Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt recorded his observations on an audio tape as he watched the lights, and while not definitive proof, theorists consider this the strongest evidence of the events. Just like Roswell, UFO tourism is at an all-time high in Rendlesham Forest. And there's even an official Rendlesham UFO trail that visitors can hike, off of which sits a model of the reported spacecraft. Number 9. The Tehran UFO Incident. In September 19, 1976, there was an incident in Tehran which started like many others, with phone calls from concerned citizens reporting a bright light in the sky. An F-4 fighter jet was sent out to investigate, but as it neared the object, its instruments blacked out, forcing the pilot to return to base. A second F-4 took its place, and as it neared the unusual light, it achieved radar lock. But according to the pilot, the UFO released a glowing object, which the pilot assumed to be some sort of missile headed straight for him. As he prepared to fight back, the pilot experienced malfunctions with his instruments, and he witnessed another bright object released from the UFO that headed straight towards the ground. He safely returned to base despite the faulty equipment. After the incident, Iran contacted the United States to aid them in an investigation. An unclassified memo by U.S. Air Force Section Chief Lieutenant Colonel Olin Moy detailed the events of the night. There are explanations for nearly all of them. Number 8. The Flatwoods Monster, also known as the Braxton County Monster or Phantom of the Flatwoods, in West Virginia folklore, is an entity reported to have been sighted on September 12, 1952, following the appearance of a bright object crossing the night sky. Nearly 50 years later, investigators concluded that the light was a meteor and the creature was a barn owl perched in a tree, with shadows making it appear to be a large humanoid. Number 7. The Black Knight Satellite Conspiracy. The Black Knight Satellite Conspiracy theory claims that there is a spacecraft in a near-polar orbit of the Earth that is of extraterrestrial origin, and that NASA is engaged in a cover-up regarding its existence and origin. This conspiracy theory combines several unrelated stories into one narrative. A photo taken during the STS-88 mission, claimed by some to show the Black Knight satellite, is cataloged by NASA as a photo of space debris. And space journalist James Oberg considers it as a probable debris of a thermal blanket confirmed as lost during the mission. Number 6. The Voronezh UFO Incident. The Voronezh UFO Incident was an alleged UFO sighting reported in Voronezh, Soviet Union on September 27, 1989. The incident was allegedly witnessed by a group of children, with other members of the local community, including civil servants, claiming to have seen the craft only. Since then, the area has been popular with UFO hunting tourists. Number 5. Levelland 1957. In the film Close Encounters of the Third Kind, there's a famous scene where a UFO makes the electronics in the car go haywire. The real-life inspiration for that scene came from an incident in 1957, when dozens of citizens of Levelland Texas individually reported seeing a rocket or strange lights that interfered with their vehicles. Engines died, lights cut out. Though the police initially thought the reports were a hoax, they too saw the mysterious lights as they investigated the situation. Project Blue Book was assigned to investigate the case. Their findings? It was an electrical storm and ball lightning that caused the lights and the mechanical malfunctions, despite that there were no reported thunderstorms in the area that night. Number 4. The Westall UFO Encounter. The Westall UFO Encounter is an event that occurred on April 6, 1966 in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. Around 11 a.m. for about 20 minutes, more than 200 students, store and teachers at 2 Victorian state schools allegedly witnessed an unexplained flying object which descended into a nearby open wild grass field. The paddock was adjacent to a grove of pine trees in an area known as the Grange. According to the reports, the object then ascended in a northwesterly direction over the suburb Clayton, South Victoria, Australia. Number 3. The Lubbock Lights. On the evening of August 25, 1951, 3 science professors from Texas Tech were enjoying an evening outdoors in Lubbock when they looked up and saw a semicircle of lights flying above them at a high speed. Over the next few days, dozens of reports flooded in across town. Texas Tech freshman Carl Hart Jr. even snapped photos of the so-called Lubbock Lights phenomenon, which were published in newspapers across the country and Life magazine. Project Blue Book, which led the Air Force inquiries into UFOs, investigated the events, and its official conclusion was that the lights were birds reflecting the luminescence from Lubbock's new street maps. Many people who saw the lights, however, refused to accept this explanation, arguing that the lights were flying too fast. Number 2. The Roswell Crash. It's the mother of all UFO sightings, but no object was actually observed flying in the Roswell incident. In the summer of 1947, rancher William Mac Brazel discovered mysterious debris in one of his New Mexico pastries, including metallic rods, chunks of plastic, and unusual papery scraps. After Brazel reported the wreckage, soldiers from nearby Roswell Army Air Force Base came to retrieve the materials. News headlines claimed that the flying saucer crashed into Roswell, but military officials said it was only a downed weather balloon. Ever since, conspiracy theorists have been hard at work trying to prove the wreckage was extraterrestrial, with one man, Ray Santelli, going as far to release a video in 1995 of an alien dissection, purported to have taken place after the incident. Santelli would admit in 2006 that it was a staged film, but he maintained that it was based on actual footage. Though the mystery has been thoroughly debunked, the town is home to the International UFO Museum, a research center, a spaceship-shaped McDonald's, and an unusual UFO festival held each summer. Number 1. Kenneth Arnold, 1947. The origin of today's fascination can be traced back to civilian pilot Kenneth Arnold. While flying his small aircraft near Washington's Mount Rainier on June 24, 1947, Arnold claimed to have seen 9 blue glowing objects flying fast at an estimated 17,000 miles per hour in a V formation. He first believed the objects to be some sort of new military craft. This was, after all, just 2 years after World War II and the first year of the Cold War, but the military confirmed there were no tests being conducted near Mount Rainier that day. The media coined the now ubiquitous phrase flying saucer. Soon, other reports of a group of non-UFOs cropped up across the region, including sightings by a prospector on Mount Adams and the crew of a commercial flight in Idaho. When Arnold described the craft's motion as similar to a saucer if you skipped it across water, the government never offered a credible explanation for the sightings. It simply claimed Arnold had seen a mirage or was hallucinating. But UFO mania set in, and just a few weeks later, the infamous Roswell sighting will perpetuate the obsession. With so many sightings captured on tape, it's unfortunate that the answer still remains unsolved. Are we really alone? I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. Before we head out, make sure you smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Make sure you subscribe because we have a lot of content coming on the way. And UFO Uncensored is now over. 320 subscribers.